Welcome to The Soft Skills, the channel where we explore how to understand people, starting with yourself. Each week, we share calm, reflective content about the relationships that shape us and the truths we often avoid in the name of hope. This week, we're talking about something many of us struggle to admit. When someone's not showing up for us, we often pretend they're just confused. We rationalize, we wait, we fill in the gaps with fantasy, but deep down we already know the truth. So let's talk about it. We've all been there. The person who's hot and cold, who says all the right things but rarely follows through, who texts in flurries then vanishes, who seems emotionally invested but never really makes space for you in their actual life. And when it hurts, we tell ourselves, they're just scared. They've been hurt before. They're not ready yet. They need time to figure things out. And maybe that's all true. Maybe they are scared. Maybe they are unsure. But here's the thing. Someone's uncertainty doesn't make your pain any less real. And hoping that they'll figure it out doesn't mean you should keep waiting around in the meantime. Let's be honest. When someone is genuinely interested in you, they don't act confused. They might be cautious. They might be emotionally nuanced, but they show up. They respond. They create space. They make effort, even if imperfectly. When someone wants to build something with you, they don't leave you hanging in emotional limbo. Confusion is often used as a smokescreen. But silence, inconsistency, emotional unavailability, those aren't mysteries. They're messages. So why do we cling to the idea that someone is just figuring things out? Because it hurts less than saying, they're just not that in, or they're benefiting from my presence without offering anything back. Hope becomes a coping mechanism. And so we wait, we shrink, we show up half-hearted, hoping they'll match our effort eventually. We try to be easy, low maintenance. We try not to scare them off. And somewhere along the way, we start abandoning ourselves just to stay close to someone who isn't even sure they want to stay. Here's what that really costs you. You start mistaking inconsistency for emotional depth. You get attached to potential instead of reality. You stop listening to how you feel and focus entirely on what they might mean. And worst of all, you become addicted to the high of being chosen every time they come back. Because that little hit of validation feels like proof that it wasn't all in your head. But let's be clear, being occasionally chosen is not love. Being emotionally breadcrumbed is not connection. It's confusion manufactured to keep you hoping. So let's ask the harder question. Why do we ignore what we already know? Why do we silence our own gut? Sometimes it's about history. If you grew up around inconsistency, around love that came with conditions, mixed messages, or sudden withdrawal, then your nervous system learned to equate uncertainty with desire. So when someone feels distant, your brain doesn't say, this isn't safe. It says, work harder, try again. Maybe if I just get it right, they'll finally choose me. But love doesn't live in the performance. Love lives in the mutual choosing, the everyday effort, the boring, beautiful clarity of yes. So how do you stop ignoring the truth? Step 1, get quiet and listen. Not to their words, but to the feeling in your body. When you're with them, do you feel grounded or anxious? When they text you, do you feel seen or momentarily pacified? Your body always knows. Step 2, stop managing their side of the connection. You can't overfunction your way into emotional safety. You shouldn't be holding both ends of the rope. Step 3, stop writing the story for them. They don't need you to explain why they're inconsistent. If they wanted to show up, they would. And if they're not, that's your answer. Step 4, say it to yourself out loud. They're not confused. They just don't want the same thing I do. And that doesn't make me unworthy. It makes us incompatible. Let it hurt. Let it land, and then let it free you. Because clarity, even when it's painful, is kinder than confusion that keeps you waiting. You deserve someone who wants to be there, not someone you have to chase, not someone who needs convincing, not someone who dips in and out depending on how lonely or bored they are. The person who's right for you, they won't feel like a riddle you're constantly trying to solve. They'll feel like an answer that already exists. To summarize, here's your key takeaway from this episode. If someone's making you question where you stand, that is your answer. You don't need a paragraph. You don't need closure. You don't need to wait and see if they figure it out. You already know. And you're allowed to act on that knowing, even if it's quiet, even if no one else understands, even if they come back eventually with just enough affection to stir the hope again. Because you're done with breadcrumbs. You're done with confusion. You're done with proving you're worthy of consistency. You don't have to be chased to feel loved. You just have to be seen and chosen in a way that feels real. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on The Soft Skills.